Welcome back to this week's Food Sports Central, the podcast of the World Food Championships. I'm your host, Mark Conway, and we are going to continue on the journey to World Food Championships 10th anniversary in Dallas, Texas this November by continuing to meet some of the sponsors and the people involved, the people who make this event possible. Because I'll tell you what, it takes, forget a village, it takes a country to make this work. And between competitors and suppliers and vendors and sponsors and friends of the organization and everybody at World Foods, that's why we can do what we do. And that's why we get to see what you make and what you come up with on your journey to trying to win the title of World Food Champion. So this week, we're going to bring in a new guest that really debuted really strong and beautiful last year in Dallas, and this year is coming back with an even bigger presence. So I want to bring in AJ Zambetti with Metro Food Service. And man, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share some of how we collaborate and make the World Food Championships an awesome event.
I mean, you really did. And what I think was really fascinating when I was walking around, and we talked quite a few times while we were there, and I watched everybody interact, and I watched the things that you brought and demoed. Not only is it always good to see the new products, the new food tech, the new food support systems, things like that, but a lot of times it's one of those things where you're like, oh, that's really cool. It's the new shiny thing. I'm going to get it, and I'll eventually figure out how that helps me. Everything that you demoed and you brought and competitors got a chance to touch, feel, use, made them better, made the kitchens more organized, made them be able to work faster. And then some of even the things that you just showed me when we talked really blew me away from a standpoint of I've been an exec chef in restaurants, food trucks, catering, and I can tell you that there are certain things, they call it mise en place. Everything has its place. You have to be prepared. You have to be ready. And Metro and Metro Food Services and everything brought just fits that bill to a T, even more than a lot of us that are seasoned and experienced and veterans in the kitchen. Like, yeah, well, you guys made a splash.
I think that, most people know us for our shelving. We've, since the 50s, we've, been the leader in food service shelving. Our wire shelving is synonymous. We invented the actual platform for wire shelving, and we've migrated into all of our polymer stuff that has microband built in, and it's in the coolers and a lot of great stuff like that. But, our productivity solutions and being able to handle the mise en place and some of the efficiencies within the kitchen is really where we have grown to shine. And that's where the World Food Championships is a perfect stage for that, for us.
It really is. And it's so easy from a competitor's end, from a foodie or a chef or a cook's end, to really embrace what you guys are doing. And when you came to World Foods last year and you had the booth, you were in all the different kitchens, things like that, kind of what was it like to be kind of there at World Foods, that big of an exposure right out of the gate? What were your takeaways from being there?
Well, we really didn't know what to expect. It was our first time there. We're accustomed to large trade shows such as NRA and NAFA, those type, which are more dealer and distributor oriented, and then some end users. But this was a very user based event, and it gave us the opportunity to have our products be hands-on used by hundreds and hundreds of chefs and be able to witness and watch and see how they use it and see the efficiencies it has. I think that was for us was one of the most interesting parts of it, to be able to go there and actually see them in use. Because it's not, we get into the kitchens, we visit them. That's how we determine what solutions to bring forward. Our design team is awesome at going into kitchens and watching people work and saying, like with the Prep Mate, they went into kitchens and they said, hey, people are putting sheet pans on garbage cans and they're making little prep stations. And that's not sanitary, but that's what a lot of people do what they can when they don't have the space. So things like that is what leads us to develop products. It's not us just saying, hey, we can do this, so let's try and sell it. It's we find ways, and find things that, chefs and food service professionals need to do better and perform better and get the job done better. And for me, the World Food Championships, really displayed that for us very, very well.
And I got to tell you, for all of those going, that can't happen. Sheet trays on trash cans. I can tell you for years, when people design restaurants, and you've seen this, when people design restaurants, they want every bit of usable square footage to be retail spot, places where they can make money, whether it's selling additional products or that's serving food to people. So the kitchen gets one of the smallest footprints in that building you can possibly imagine, just enough to barely function. And yes, I have seen sheet trays get put on 2 chairs so that they're trying to hold it stable while they're prepping things. Like, space and efficiency is a huge, huge just issue inside the restaurant industry. But when you see what I saw out of the PrepMate, and take, kind of break us through the PrepMate, that thing literally revolutionized those little tiny spots inside Kitchen Arena.
Yeah, well, we didn't actually explain what PrepMate is. That's one of the solutions that we did bring to the World Food Championship because of its the only kitchens are only 10 by 10, so we had a very very small space. So we had to come up with what's the best product for that. Yeah, sure, shelving and work tables. You had big stainless tables, and that's fine. But when people are on the go and they're trying to do a lot in a small space, the PrepMate it's really an awesome piece of equipment. It's a small prep station that has cutting boards that your typical cutting boards that are 18 by 24 cutting boards fit right in it. It holds standard steam pans and sheet pans, and it gives you a multi-surface ability to be able to chop, dice, slice, and prep all different sorts of things in a small space. It has cutting board accessories. It has tray slide accessories. So it gives you that mise en place where you're not cutting up, let's say, a pepper, and then you have to scoop it up and put it in a container. The container's nest underneath, so you cut it up and you use your knife and you slide it right across the surface and it drops in. So there's a lot of efficiencies, and it actually Penn State University did a whole research on it that it boosted productivity by 20%. So 20% faster, 20% more efficient, 20% less scrap. So it does help the contestants and professionals perform. So that's a little bit about the PrepMate.
And that's huge, 20%. And to put that into perspective, restaurants operate off at their goal, hope, bottom line is that they can make 10% profit, because you got 30% overhead, 30% labor, 30% food costs. That leaves you about 10% of every dollar that comes in, 10 cents of every dollar that comes in order to actually turn a profit. So when you talk about 20% increase in efficiency, less waste, move faster, that makes your labor better. That makes your product quality better. That makes, when you're not trying to prep and cut items on an unlevel surface with not an actual pan there to put everything in because you don't have room and you're trying to carry a cutting board across it. It is an amazing difference. So year one, you came in, competitors, I think what happened too is a lot of competitors really didn't figure out how great of a tool it was till about 2/3 of the way through maybe their second cook. Now they're going to come into year two and really be excited about, here's what I can do. Because now I know if I was a competitor, I'm looking at all the tools that are available to me. I'm looking at my space and I'm planning that way. I'm not just writing a food recipe. I'm writing a plot map of where everything goes. And with that PrepMate and the shelving and everything that you bring into those 10 by 10 kitchens, you have a lot more space than what you think. And with you guys there on site, it's very easy to get those questions answered and to talk to people about how to utilize these products.
Yeah, well, this year we're adding what we call our smart stations, workstations to the mix, as well as a little utility cart to help with space management. But one of the things, if you look at, we do a lot of work with the biggest chains in the world, and efficiency and optimization of, everything is at an arm's reach, everything is right where you need it, so you don't have to move. If you think about it, if you have a 10-person establishment and then you optimize everything, you probably need 8 people to do the same amount of work. So in a time like today where employees are hard to find, you can maybe get away with the less employees if you're optimized and more efficient. So taking that small kitchen, the work tables that we put into it, it's not only just a stainless work surface, but we incorporated overbridge shelving and overbridge storage so that they can put their utilities and all the things that they need up above the work surface, so it's not crowding the work surface, so it's easy to reach. So everything's in arm's reach, and we tried to accommodate that need. Also, the ability to, if they want to nest the prep mate underneath it, to get it out of the way because they have something else that they want to do. There's room underneath it, so the prep mate can nest directly underneath that. We've also added a microwave cart because last year we noticed, and you only get this from being there, that the microwave took up half the work surface, and we're just like, well, that's not good. Most cooks don't want to use the microwave, but but in this instance, you have to use all the tools you have at your disposal. Right. So we're going to take the microwave and we're going to nest it just under the surface, kind of like if it was a built-in in your house or something like that. So that's how we're handling that. So that gives you, rather than have I think it was a 60-inch or a 5-foot work surface, we're able to get a 6 or 7-foot work surface with nothing on the surface in that same space, with overhead shelving as well. So we're going to be adding that to the prep mate. You have your big stainless table, you have your range, and I think that it'll make a really nice kitchen studio for these guys to perform.
Oh, that's without a doubt. Because when I was walking around, and whether I was filming with competitors or interviewing them or talking to them, that was one thing I noticed. There is, like, I've worked in food trucks. There's like this much space in a food truck, and then we can put out tons of food. But the one thing about a food truck is you really are 100% focused on maximizing space. And when I was looking at those competitor tables, all their spices, all their cups, all their measuring spoons, everything were just all over the table, taking up space. So like to your point, hey, we had a 5-foot table with 2 feet of workable, usable space. And now you're going to give them even more footage of a table, more real estate, and have things where all they do is tilt their head up and they see everything that they're looking for. That is, a godsend whether you're cooking at home, at a restaurant, but definitely when you're on the clock at a major food competition and you have one cook to determine whether you get to the next round or not.
Yeah, I think you brought this up before that everybody's out there, all the cooks and the competitors, they're out there planning their meals, and planning how they're going to go about doing it. But the one thing that they always forget is, how do I set up the space to let me efficiently win the competition from a time standpoint and be able to execute things perfectly without tripping over myself or dropping something or, not forgetting about something because it was stashed under the table and you're like, oh my God, I forgot the key ingredient. So coming beforehand and, talking with us or reviewing your workstation is critical, I think, for the competition, to just know your tools, know your weapons, and know how to use them best.
Absolutely. That's a key point, because so many of the competitors didn't think about their workspace till they got there. And they thought about their ingredients, they thought about their recipes, they thought about preparation. They did not think about the environment they would be in. So they're getting there, and as they unpacked, you could see them go, maybe I'll put this here, and I'll try to shove this here, and I'm going to stack my spices here and put cans on this, and to where now they have to unassemble everything to get to one thing. And you're right, I saw them miss key components of their dish that they later on were like, I can't believe I forgot it, but I forgot it because I didn't see it. And I think that's going to be the difference. So just like they're practicing their recipes right now and they're learning techniques and they're researching new ingredients, I think this is a time to research and understand Metro Food Service and what's going to be in that booth for how that's going to help them. Second thing is once they find out how great that is, that they're going to want to take that back to their restaurants and homes.
Well, yeah, obviously that's probably one of the goals. We hope that they fall in love with our stuff as much as we think it's great, and they implement some of these practices in their restaurants. We do a program with Food Service Equipment and Supplies Magazine, which is the kitchen storage makeover. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, we give $50,000 kitchen storage makeover to all these different entities. A few years ago, we did a place in Virginia called Why Not Italian, and it was a small. I think you're from there. You know this.
Very familiar with Why Not. Yep.
So we had done a makeover there, and we did it while it was open. So it was complete chaos because we were trying to remodel an entire back of house kitchen while they were trying to cook food and everything. So it was really crazy. But an example is we made an efficient takeout and delivery stations and everything, just like we do for the chains, like we do for McDonald's and Burger King, the drive-through stations. The efficiencies that you build in these things are really, really super. So we took those, we put them into the makeover at the Why Not, and he fell in love with them so much when he expanded into multiple locations, he duplicated those solutions in those other locations. So he was able to actually learn them in one place and brought them home to a different place. And we hope that people do that with PrepMate, with our shelving, and some of the other things that we bring to our little booth that we'll have there to show off.
And that's going to be an easy thing, because it's just like when you try out a new set of pans, you try out a new set of knives, and you're using them somewhere for the first time, and you're like, yes, this is the one I want to use forever. When you find a successful tool, you want to implement that in every stage of your cooking world. So, and that was the thing I noticed about these items. Everybody knows what a Metro rack is, because like you said, that's where kind of everything really got started. So they call every rack shelving unit out there a Metro rack. They really do. It's kind of like the whole Motrin ibuprofen thing. Everybody calls it a Motrin, but it's God knows what it is. Same with Kleenex and that. That is such a staple, a trusted staple, Metro is, inside all of professional food service. But I also see that now coming into even home use, because kitchens are becoming more and more vital again. And that especially at a time where you've got families aren't eating out as much. A lot of people have watched so much food TV. They're trying new meals. They're cooking at home. They're utilizing some of these ingredient services where you can order recipes in and make them yourself. That to have, again, you got the right ingredients for food, you got to have the right tools to implement.
Yeah, we've seen a big increase in that. We've also seen a big increase in the obviously the takeout and delivery has got huge. Ghost kitchens,
ghost kitchens are great.
Have gotten, and they need a whole little different setup because there's no front of house, and it's more about the efficiency aspects of it. That's where we came up with the Super Erect the Hot, which is our heated shelves, for takeout and delivery. Those. So they're really cool because they just go on the standard shelving platform. Instead of a shelf, you use the heated one, you plug it in, and the thing heats up. You can put 10 of them on there. You can put one of them on there. You can mix shelves and heated shelves. It's really cool. But all those things came about with, when you're faced with problems and you provide solutions. And, luckily we're a solution-based business. We're not, we try to stay out of the commodity battles. We're not just, a cheap knockoff commodity shelving. We can't win if we just play that commodity battle. So we really look into solving people's problems, especially in kitchens. And, the competition is all that stuff that you do daily. It's all compressed into this short time and whatever, which is really neat because we all get all these great benefits in a short period of time to be able to witness this stuff.
They really do. I mean, and I've heard this since I was a kid, and I'm sure you heard it too. Don't come at me with a problem, come at me with a solution. Yeah. And that's really what you guys have done. And I love that now coming into year 2, returning competitors are really going to have a better idea of how to utilize that space. And you're bringing in even more. And if people want to, between now and World Foods, start to learn more about the products that are going to be at the World Food Championships and how these different components work, what's the best way for people to start researching and learning?
Well, obviously, you go to metro.com. It's a good thing we have, our URL is metro.com, and we're not the phone company. So, so we do get a lot of that. But you go to metro.com. It's really easy to remember. You click on food service, and you can see all of our food service solutions. There's everything from our heated cabinet line, which is an awesome product line, to our heated shelving, to all of our smart stations, our track shelving, our cooler freezer shelving, all of the accessories that go with that. We have tons and tons of accessories, more than anybody. We call it innumerable options, imaginative solutions. That's kind of how we brand ourselves.
I like it.
You can check that out at metro.com.
Perfect. And what's your social media?
Oh, you'll find us on, Metro Food Service on Facebook. You find us on Instagram. You find us on LinkedIn. You can find our corporate at InterMetro on every one of those things as well. So we're pretty much plastered. You can find us on social media. We have a big presence there. And, at every event and every trade show, we're pretty much at just about everything.
Yes, you are. Everyone I've ever been to, I've seen you for years, at the events. So aside from, going there because you're bringing a company that's going to revolutionize things, how was it for you as a food person to be at World Foods? What was some of the things that just really caught your attention while you were there?
Well, I loved the fact that, in the competitions, it wasn't all executive chefs and five-star chefs. It was a range of self-taught, and there was teams of mother and their kids competing against five-star executive chefs from resorts. And in some cases they were kicking their butts. And that was really nice to watch that. That was a lot of fun. I also I loved the barbecue section outside. Obviously any guy loves that kind of stuff. I think anybody would love that kind of stuff, the ribs and the, we have our pan carrier line of Mighty Lights, which are great for the barbecue component of it. And just being out there with some of the barbecue competitors, they travel all over the place with their famous barbecue stuff. And that was really cool. I really enjoyed that part. And I think just to check that out is amazing as well. I thought that I loved the cheferees, I think they were called. I thought that was pretty cool. And when, the bells ring and everybody starts running to the thing to turn in their assignments, I thought that was very interesting. Oh, and the last thing is I really liked some of the events that took place on stage in between the competitions. I thought that was cool. And hopefully this year we have some figured out that we're going to participate in some of those. So I'm excited about that as well.
I think that's something
right now because we don't have it all figured out, but we have some ideas.
Got some things in the books. And that's something that I think I'm excited to see is more things like that, where we get to see hands-on and learn from you about how these solutions really do impact not only the bottom line, but man, if it impacts your bottom line, it impacts your quality of life. Positive impact there is a positive impact there. And Metro Food Service really does give that to the food service professional and that food service person or that food person is just at home that wants to really get out in the backyard and grill, get inside of the kitchen and work more and cook and build these relationships. So, AJ, I'm so glad you had time to be on the show today.
I appreciate you having me. It was fun.
And
we're willing to come back anytime and we can shoot the breeze anytime.
And I think we're going to do that because that's what you guys want. I'm so glad everybody's tuned in because we wanted to bring you the things that you want to hear about, you want to know about, keep you up to speed as we continue our journey to the World Food Championships 10th anniversary in Dallas, Texas. And everybody, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next week.